Wouldn't it be so amazing to have a secret formula for successful breastfeeding with guaranteed results? Of course it would be, but guess what? There isn't one. And I highly doubt there will ever be one, simply for the fact that breastfeeding is affected by so many things. But here's what I do know. There are some of the things and the little tips and tricks that you can do to make your breastfeeding journey a little bit easier. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel, where my main goal is to educate you and your family about breastfeeding, postpartum, newborn care, and all things mommy. Today in this video, I'm going to share all the tips that I have learned from my breastfeeding journey for the last 1.5 years, and also by working with breastfeeding moms for the last 5 years of my career. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Bimala. I am a postpartum nurse, a certified lactation counselor, and I'm also a mom, as I said, to a 2.5-year-old girl named Arya. Now, I also want to point out that this is not one of those breastfeeding 101 videos which talks about positioning, latching, pumping bras, and other things. I'm definitely planning to cover those topics in my future videos, but for today, I am going to just spill out all the secrets about the little nitty-gritty things that you can do to ensure your success at breastfeeding. Just to make things easier, I have divided all the tips into what I like to call my 5 steps to breastfeeding. So here's what I'm going to cover in today's video. Step number 1 is all about preparing you and your family for what to expect with breastfeeding. In step 2, I will talk about all the physical items and little things that you can prepare to make your life easier with breastfeeding. Step 3 starts actually when you meet your baby in the hospital and breastfeed for the very first time. Step 4 begins when you actually go home with your baby, and I talk about family support, how to maintain your breast milk supply, and a lot more. In step 5, I like to wrap things up with all the tips on setting the right mindset and expectations about breastfeeding. So if this is something you are interested in, just keep on watching. Alright, so the first step is to prepare yourself for breastfeeding, and I highly recommend you do this during your 3rd trimester, simply because you are going to be much more motivated during this time because you are so close to breastfeeding yourself. So how do you educate yourself or prepare yourself for breastfeeding? You do this by watching videos just like this one, or following people on social media who are trying to educate moms and families for breastfeeding, joining Facebook groups which are specifically targeted for breastfeeding moms. However, just keep in mind that there's a plethora of information available these days in social media, and you also want to double check that the source that you're referring to is reliable. Something that's going to help you choose the right resources is my recent blog post that is just a full-on written version of this video, and it has much more information that I'm going through today. So go ahead and check the link in the description where I have linked the blog post. You can also do a tour of the hospital that you plan to deliver at. Try to find out if they are a baby-friendly hospital, simply because baby-friendly hospitals are much more likely to push moms towards breastfeeding, because it is one of their goals to get more moms to breastfeed. So after you've done all of these things and educated yourself a little bit about breastfeeding, I also recommend you educate your family or your husband or whoever it is that is going to be with you during your postpartum period about a little bit of breastfeeding information. Why do you need to do this? Simply because when you are struggling with breastfeeding or you have some kind of challenges with breastfeeding, it is so much easier when somebody else knows what's going on and knows how to help you. Okay, let me give you an example. When I was pregnant myself, I used to talk to my husband a lot about breastfeeding and all the things that I knew about breastfeeding. I also talked to him about what could go wrong and how a mom would get support from people who are around her. Am I saying that he was super excited to learn about all these things? Well, the answer is yes and no. There were times when he was so interested in a topic about breastfeeding, and there were also times when he was just acting like he was listening while he was scrolling through his phone. But even if it's a little bit of information that they are processing through their brain, they're going to be able to support you and help you when you have the challenges with breastfeeding. Okay, step 2 is to equip yourself with little things that you're going to need when you start to breastfeed your baby. You don't need to buy a whole lot of things. You don't need to bulk up on all the accessories and everything that you're going to need during breastfeeding, simply because your body is going through a lot of changes and it will still continue to change after you have your baby. So what do I recommend? I like to create a breastfeeding basket which has nipple shield just in case the latch doesn't go right, a nipple cream just in case you have cracked nipples, a couple of comfy breastfeeding bras. I don't recommend buying too many of them because, as I said, your body is going to go through so many changes after postpartum. You can also add something like a manual pump. My favorite one is Haka pump. If you know about this, it's an amazing pump that's gonna just help boost your supply even before you get started with pumping your breast milk. All right, so you have prepared yourself, gotten a little bit of supplies ready, and now you are in labor. Something I highly recommend you do is to do skin to skin with your baby. Also gives the baby the first attempt and their first chance to try breastfeeding all by themselves. It's so incredible to watch these babies crawl up by themselves and find the breast and latch like a pro. Am I saying that every baby will latch if allowed to do skin to skin? Maybe not, maybe yes, but you do want to give them that chance. After that 1 hour passes by, you will probably be transferred to something called a postpartum unit, or you might be staying in labor and delivery for a little bit longer depending on what's going on. So during that period, during that stay in the hospital, I would recommend you get a CLC if available to just assess your breastfeeding, the entire thing, just to make sure everything is going on right. Do whatever makes you happy during this period, because not every mom gets the best experience of labor, and things might sometimes also go crazy after the delivery. So you should really celebrate everything that you have accomplished, okay? Involve your family, ask for support, talk to the nurses, talk to the pediatrician. You can also ask your husband or your family to bring your favorite food, which you have been craving all this time. Well, small little things can help you make happy. Okay, so step 4 begins as soon as you get home from hospital after delivery, and at this point I like to focus on paying really close attention to what affects your breast milk supply and if you are maintaining your supply or not. While some moms are very fortunate enough to have a constant supply of breast milk regardless of what goes in their life, others might get affected with small little things like stress, lack of sleep, and other things. So there are a few common things that are known to affect your breast milk supply, and the first one is insufficient breastfeeding. I can't really stress this enough. You have to feed enough to make enough breast milk. It works like a supply and demand. So the more there is need for breast milk, the more you are going to make, meaning the more you feed your baby, your body is going to get the signal that, oh, there is a need for more breast milk, so it's going to start to make more breast milk. Okay, so make sure you are not clocking yourself, and just really don't go crazy with all the timings and the length and everything about breastfeeding. Just pay close attention to your baby. Pay attention to their hunger cues, newborn feeding cues. If you're not sure about what they are, I have all of these posts and more in my Instagram posts and highlights. I have saved them in my highlights as well. So if you don't follow me there already, go ahead and do so. Okay, so back to step number 4. Stress is another huge thing that can impact your breast milk supply. So try your best to relax yourself and also find the most comfortable position that you can breastfeed on. Some moms can find sitting upright to be a very uncomfortable position to breastfeed. It is completely okay for you to, try out different positions, and some babies might prefer one over the other as well. So see what is most comfortable for you and your baby. What else? Oh, food is another huge thing that can impact your breast milk supply. So try out different food, see what works for you. Something that has helped me may not help you, so try out and see what works for you. Something I recommend is to just try out 1 or 2 things at a time, because if you go for all of this food that are known to increase your breast milk supply and you're trying all of them at once, you might know what is actually helping you. And if you're trying to find out what kind of food affects breastfeeding, once again, just go and refer to my blog post, because everything is literally there. I have listed out a downloadable file with all the food that are known to increase breast milk supply. Earlier I spoke about newborn feeding cues. Those are also listed in there. Like literally everything that I talked to you guys about breastfeeding and the tips, anything that I can list out, anything that can be printed is there. Okay, trust me. So go ahead and check that out after you're done with this video. I also want to tell you this. Anytime your baby is crying, it is not always because they're hungry. It is not always because your supply is low. Finally, in step number 5, I like to wrap things up with this. Do not ever let anybody else's opinions or actions dictate your breastfeeding journey. It is one thing to take advice from others. It is one thing to take education and learn things about breastfeeding from others, but how long and how you want to breastfeed is completely up to you and of course your baby. I say this because I see so much hatred, so much conflict, and so much politics about breastfeeding going on in social media nowadays. Don't get me wrong, I am all about advocating for breastfeeding. I'm all about encouraging positive messages, but at the end of the day, people will always have opinions no matter what you do. So when it comes to breastfeeding, of course, get the support. Try to share what you want to share with others. Don't let something that other people say discourage you from breastfeeding or just get you upset and like mess up the whole thing. Okay, so just stay motivated, get your knowledge, get your support, get your supplies, and just get going with breastfeeding. I wish you luck, and I hope you have a wonderful breastfeeding journey. So just stay motivated and get going with breastfeeding, okay? If you're still wondering if this is something for you, I am here to tell you that definitely you can do this, okay? I, as a lactation counselor and a postpartum nurse, struggled with breastfeeding also, okay? But I made it. I'm still breastfeeding Arya, and she's 2.5 years old. I am not here to brag about it, but there was definitely so many challenges that I had to go through, but I did not give up, and we made it up to here. So if I could do it, you could do it too. So just keep on going. So there you go, guys. I try to share as much as I could in this video without making the video super long and boring. If you need much more detailed information and need all of the details and nitty-gritty of the little things that I shared you, just go ahead and check the blog post, which I mentioned earlier. It has all the details that you need. And also, if you're still watching, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm planning to post videos exactly like this every week. Well, at least that is the plan for now. And hit the like button so YouTube knows to show this video to other moms like you, and it can definitely help some moms that don't know a lot about breastfeeding. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.